What is up? Welcome to Uncle Rico's Storytime. This one's called George Floyd, my 12th favorite tweaker. It was Memorial Day yesterday. A lot of us celebrate that day to remember service members that have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. A small amount of our population celebrated that day as a George Floyd Day. The town of Minneapolis went viral on Facial Book for their divisive event. So, which got me thinking. It's been a while. When the George Floyd thing happened, I was living with this dude, Jeff, who had been in prison for like 30 years. He was old, but didn't look it. He was a bodybuilder guy. Racist, unfortunately. And one thing that struck a chord with me is we talked one night, and I was like, dude, you know a lot of my friends are black. You know I date black girls. And he's like, look, I know where you're going, and I can't. He goes, I can't help it. And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, and this stuck with me. And then this is like this with anything. I feel the same way with, some of the older black people. When I hear their story, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'd be full of rage. But he goes, man, when I was in the shit that, and I was like, no, he's like, the shit that happened to me, the stuff that they were saying, it just doesn't, that hate, I go, that hate, he goes, that hate doesn't go away. And he goes, I know it's wrong. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised fucking awesome. Like, I didn't have any issues going into jail, but after what and I'm like, dude, it's fine. It's whatever. So, but he was very political, so we'd have discussions. And he was very, obviously Fox News. And he'd be watching it when I'd come home and everything. We'd have discussions. But I told him, I said, dude, this is going to be, with all these mini things in this organization coming, I said, there's going to be an issue of police brutality in either Minneapolis, Atlanta, or Baltimore. And this shit is going to go off. And it was a couple of weeks later, I'm in my bedroom reading, and I get a knock on the door, and he goes, dude, it's on. And I go, where is it? And he goes, Minneapolis. And I watched the video, and I thought it was I thought it was staged. It looked so bad, where the cop is fucking grinning, and the guy's going, I can't breathe. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is exactly what. But me being the conspiracy theory, I'm like, this is fucking staged. This is meant. They're gonna fucking get this cop squirreled away after prison or whatever. Let's not go down that route. But then I found out. I think I watched the video once, so I am about to start talking about shit that I don't 100% know. Okay, I think I've only watched that video once because I watched it and I was like, Jesus. But then I found out, he was trying to pass counterfeit, he was all fucked up, whatever. We'll get to that, because the point of this whole podcast is going to be, I found out something that was crazy that I cannot believe was not fucking talked about at all. And it's right there. So we'll get there. But unfortunately, you got to sit through 11 stories of tweakers. I have lived all around the country, and I didn't realize until I was kind of making this list, is that I've lived in some very, very meth-heavy places. I lived in Valley City, North Dakota. It's the meth capital of the meth murder capital of the world, and they tell people this. They're proud of it. You're gassing up, and some old son of a bitch in a station wagon is like, oh, you're from Wisconsin, huh? Yeah, but I live here. I bartend at the VFW. I've been here for almost a year now, so it's the meth murder capital of the world. I know, and I kind of figured that's where this conversation was going. Crazy, fucking crazy. See ya. Takes off. But we'll get to that. I lived in Island, California. That place is either, you're either a pastor, a meth head, or a pastor that fell off the wagon and is now again a meth head. Um, and AJ, I'm here now. I'm on like Meth Alley. So, without further ado, my top 12 tweakers. Obviously haven't met George Floyd, but I've met these other 11. And they are higher than George just because I haven't met him. And because these 11 did not almost drive our country into a racial civil war. So, first is Josh, my assistant buddy, who was one of my reclamation projects. I've tried to help people with their problems and addictions. About 4 different people in the last 2 years, and all of them have ended very, very badly. Josh just recently fell off the wagon of meth, the cloud, I guess. Fell off the cloud and is in jail now. I just got a letter from him. Actually, this is kind of funny. I hate to clown on the guy, but there's my address. He even spelled Phoenix wrong. Phenex. So, but good guy, good heart, tries well, but man, has cost me a lot, and just fuck ups. And it's not, his fault. It's just his brain is gone. You do the poison, and that shit fucks you up. Number 2 is my buddy Steve. I found out Steve was a little tiny short guy, buddy of mine. We were hanging out at this affluent house in Omaha, and a buddy of mine, Tony, and we've been there maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm talking with the host, and my buddy Steve walks up and he's like, "Hey man, can I take a shower?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? Shut up." And the host is like, "Yeah, there's a shower." I go, no, shut the fuck up. You're not, like, what the fuck? No, what? And my buddy Tony's like, it's okay, I'll explain. He's like, "Yeah, let's go to the private bed, lag, towel, thing." So he goes on, I'm like, "What? No." And he goes, "Oh, he was, what the hell did he say? He was smoking the black, I don't know, whatever he said, whatever the terminology was back then. It was like 20 years ago, or however, when it was my first experience with meth, but he said that when you smoke it, it feels like your skin is dirty and there's dirt all over and there's bugs crawling all over it." And I'm like, I go, "What?" Like, so then afterwards it must feel like Molly, like you're just amazing, right? And he's like, "No, you just kind of come out of it." And I'm like, "So there doesn't really seem to be a plus side. Like, that just sounds like a fucking nightmare." And he's like, "Well, it's an escape from reality." I'm like, "And it's an escape from in a nightmare." I go, "No, that's..." So, but it wasn't that night, but I think it was a couple of nights later. Steve would go out and I'm a bigger guy, but I'm not much of a fighter. I would rather talk my way out of situations. But our buddy, our other roommate, Ted, played hockey and flipped that switch, man, and I've seen him pummel people. So Steve would go out and just kind of pick fights, and he'd hit on women in front of their boyfriends and stuff, and just really rude. And as a bartender in Omaha, I would go into places, we'd get through VIP, we'd go through the back door, get hookups from the bartenders and stuff, and I'm like, this is bad for the brand, man. I talked to him a couple of times. We were driving home one night. He got mad that I was starting to fool around with one of his ex-girlfriends from high school, and he took my hockey stick out of the back of my Mustang and leaned out the back window and was banging on my hood. So I stopped, I pulled over, I kicked him out. He had to walk home through Boys Town, and like, this is a youth boys at risk type secured, like security driving around. They call the cops on him, they chase him through, he's got to run through a cornfield. So when me and Ted get home, there's dirt and shit leading down to the basement, and I go to check on him, but more like yell at him and get into it with him. And he came after me with fucking pots and pans, He had grabbed pots and I don't know. He was a slob. He had all sorts of shit down in his basement. Those could have been down there. I always thought he grabbed those as weapons before we got home, but those would have been down in the dungeon. We called this living room the dungeon. But either way, I found out, Steve was a love him. Was a good buddy of mine, but I wrote him off. Who else do we got? What else do we got for a list? The pooper. I had a little side area here on my property, and there would always be garbage behind it. It was just a nice little place where it's shielded from everything. The wall juts in, and there was a big bush in front, so I would always find garbage there, but it was good garbage, like it was my kind of garbage. Oreo double stuffs, whiskey bottles, Coors Heavy cans, PBR cans. I'm like, dude, I like your style, so I let it slide. And then poop started showing up, and I catch the guy pooping behind my bush, and I said, hey, fucker, get out of there. Oh, I'm rock collecting. I said, I'm watching a turd fall out of your ass. I go, pull your pants up. Oh, I'm rock collecting. I said, get the fuck out of here. So I chased him out of there, and then I went and cut his bush down. When I first started, I was more naive, and this actually got me thinking right away. And I thought about this the other day when again on the George Floyd thing about having a short leash. I knew right away that I couldn't be a cop because when I was young, living in Omaha, I kicked out this homeless guy I dealt with him, tried to do it diplomatically, and then he threw his drink on me. He threw his drink in my face, a drink that he grabbed from a different table, and so I kicked him out. And when I kicked him out, he kept swearing, and then he tried to I pulled him up the stairs. I was a downstairs bar. I pulled him up the stairs, and then when I was going down, I pulled him up, and then I started kind of go down, and he was side wedged, and he threw his leg out. And so I took the opportunity to kind of do like a double step. I'm catching my balance here, and kind of stepped on his head. And I was like, yeah, I can't do it. I wouldn't be a good cop. But the thing I was thinking about recently was dealing with these tweakers. My fuse is so short now, and I've only been at it, a couple of years. If I was a cop dealing with the same shit, the same attitude, now kids are trying to go down as martyrs. But when I first started out, there was at my other property, I had like a little alcove, and then a small door, and then the security door to get into my property. So the homeless people, after we'd close, they'd go into the side alcoves, and it was this one lady, I was trying to chase her out all the time, and then she'd leave liquor bottles and stuff all over. And I got sick of cleaning it up, so I put a garbage can out there, and it was like a Friday afternoon, and then I went and checked on it on Sunday, and it was like the best fucking house party. They partied in that alcove like sons of bitches over the weekend. The garbage can, it's a full garbage can, not a kitchen garbage can. Like you throw a couple of big fucking bags in there, garbage can, full of liquor bottles, completely full. Little tinies, bigs, mini buzz balls, big bug party balls, handles, bottles, wine, cans, absolutely insane. And then they started pooping in the corners also, and so I had to put up sheet metal and cordon it off. But just the fact that she rolls like that, she's on the list at number 4. Or 5-ish. We'll get there. Another one on this route, I was weed eating around the corner of my property, and some dude comes over and yells at me. He's like, hey, were you just sleep? I take my headphones off. I'm like, what's up? He goes, were you just sleeping with me? I go, what the fuck? And he goes, come on, were you just sleeping with me? And I'm like, dude, you're not my type. And he's like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, somebody stole my shit. And I'm like, dude, I'm here working. Like, good luck. Put my shit on, finish weed whacking. I go back, my battery runs out, or I finish or whatever. I go back, and I gotta walk around the strip joint. And there's a bouncer out there, and he does not like me, nor never talks to me. He's smiling and chuckling to himself, and I'm walking over, and he goes, dude, you will never guess what just happened to me. I go, did some homeless guy come up and threaten you with sleeping with him or something? Accuse you of sleeping with me? He's like, holy shit, how did you? So we're joking about it, and the guy walks up to us, and he goes, hey, we're either you guys. I go, dude, we heard it already. We're not. I go, hey, you're not. I said some other joke, and he goes, fuck you, man. And I go, fuck you. And he goes, I want my fucking bike pedal. And I'm like, I don't. So he walks away, and I realize later I'm driving through town, and I see him pushing his bike. And I always see bike pedals, and I started thinking about this. I see single bike pedals around on this meth alley a lot, and it doesn't make any sense. And I realized that he smoked up some dude with his meth. They passed out. Dude stole a stash and then totally incapacitated them by taking the bike pedal, because you can't leave your bike. That's the most valuable possession a homeless person has. And I saw him pushing this poor bike. You can't ride it. You can't ride it with one pedal. So it's genius on the part of the other tweaker. And because of that, he falls on my list also. I lived in Valley City for a little while, and meth murder capital of the world, previously stated. And I'm bartending at this shitty VFW, and they had a college, a little community college in town there. So there were some attractive people every once in a while, but it was a hick town, and a very small hick town. And there was a cute little blonde that came in, and I did my whole last call repertoire, which is, hey, last call, hey, get the fuck out, hey, last call, get the fuck out, finish him up, man, last call, hey, last call. Ladies, that doesn't mean you, with a wink. And she goes, well, we're going to this after bar, you should come over. And I said, all right. She gave me the address. I went over. As soon as I walked into the living room, or kitchen, the kitchen was fucking packed. And so I walk in, and there's a couple of dudes kind of hitting on me, and I was like, whoa, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom. So, it's through the living room. So I go in the living room, and the living room was fucking scary. It looked like Hector's apartment in Training Day. I walked in, and it was like they were all posing for a prison picture. With the chicks were intimidating with face tats. All the windows were painted out. So I go back into the kitchen. Windows in the kitchen are painted out, and this dude is like, he goes, hey, you're back. And I'm like, yeah. Line's a little long. And he's like, we never met, what's your name? And I'm like, Nick. And he goes, well, tonight you're going to be Buttercup. And I go, no, tonight my name is still Nick. And as soon as I said that, it was like record scratched. The party went boom. People were fucking right here. And I was like, no, Buttercup is cool. I like Buttercup. And so we chatted a little bit, and then as soon as I got a chance, I kind of made my way out to the front door, the door on the kitchen, and I went to leave, and a bunch of people were like, hey, he just got here, but yeah, I just saw him, he came in, now he's wanting to leave already. And the head guy, I think Danny or whatever his name was, bam, he's like, where are you going, Buttercup? And I go, I'm going to the bathroom, like I told you earlier. I go, the people were there, and that's why I came back right away, and I'm raining it. And he goes, well, how do I know you're not going to come back? And I go, well, my girlfriend's right there. I go, hey, Blondie. I didn't know her name. And she's like, hey. I'm like, hey. And he's like, oh, okay, hurry back. And so I got outside and fucking hightailed it out of there. And I got about a block away, and the girl came. I hear, hey. And the girl came running out. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, fuck that. She's like, yeah, that place was scary. We ended up hanging out that night. So it's salvaged, but yeah, Danny is on the list. Um, when I lived in Nyland, California, it's right next to Slab City. And what happens out in Slab City, it's off the grid. No, like cops go in there. They have their own justice system and everything. If you get bored, YouTube Slab City and go down that rabbit hole. Holy shit! Everybody's got crazy nicknames. Hey, I'm Tater. Hey, this is Chainsaw. And this is Mountain Wolf Queen. They find out people will hide there, and they find out if you're a pedophile, they'll just burn your shit up, which is pretty cool. I can get on board with that kind of justice. But this kid was, he told me that he's never smoked meth, but and I believe. I don't know if he did or not, but his mom was big time into it, and he told me that she smoked the whole time. He was very negative, pessimistic about his life. He's like, she smoked the whole time. I know I'm screwed up. He's a younger kid, like 14 or 15. I'm paying cash to do odd jobs, kind of like Josh. Actually, it's funny. Both of them would do the same thing. They'd use a greasy rag to clean my fucking windows, and I'd yell at them every time. I'm like, dude, come in, get some paper towel. Do it and then throw it away every time. Fucking greasy shit. It's worse than when it started. But this kid, we were talking. I said, dude, tell me. I've heard these stories about the justice in there. He goes, tell me a story. And he goes, and this kid has never embellished or anything. He was always had like this defeated mentality. So like, what the fuck? Why not just be honest about things? Which I admired. And he told me a story that there was a drug dealer in the Slab City, and he sold some dude a hot shot. And for those of you that don't know what a hot shot, it's you're basically ODing on something. It's laced with something. You're fucked. So he sold this dude a hot shot, and the dude died. And then he ran his mouth to a couple of people and told him that he knew it was a hot shot or knew it was laced or something. And so I guess the elders of Slab City got together and like talked about it. They investigated it, and they went to the drug dealer and they made him take a hot shot, and he freaking died. Crazy shit out there. But the kid is on the list. Next is a girl that I met on a dating app. I was sitting here watching TV, and my dog started going ape shit, like somebody was outside. I heard it, and I'd hear stuff. It sounded like somebody was talking on their phone outside. So finally I hear, resident of blah 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 Apache Trail, come out, we have a warrant. I'm like, holy shit. I put the dogs in the bedroom. Fucking, what did I do? Do I have a warrant for something? Did I hit somebody? Did I get so drunk some night that I fucking killed somebody and I don't even know? What the hell is going on here? Are there other people by my name? Identity fraud? Like, I'm looking at cameras, there's nobody. I'm looking around the wall. I'm thinking, this makes sense if there is a warrant and they try to serve it and they see my fortress with the fence and barbed wire and everything. Maybe they have a drone. Talked to businesses later, my neighbors, and they're like, yeah, we heard that shit too. It sounded like it, but we didn't have no idea. So a couple of months later, and I find out that it was a tweaker pad right by my other property. And before I found that out, I was doing a circle route to get to my property and drove by this, it was like white trash car. It was an IROC, or I think it was an IROC. And this little tiny scrawny guy was loading up, and there was a cute blonde, trashy, but cute blonde there. And so I get to my property, and then all of a sudden there's dogs running around, and they're in the street. I can't save them. I can't get them. I tried to chase two out of the street, and they ran away. So I went back to the couple, and I was like, hey, were those your dogs? And the guy got lippy with me, and so I kind of got in with him. No, I kind of got lippy back at him, and the blonde was like, no, they're not our dogs, and I was like, oh, she's cute. It's too bad. So fast forward to this dating app, I match with this girl and we're talking, and she's like, AJ, I used to live in AJ. And she's like, oh, what? No, what the fuck? She's like, yeah, right across from Cunning Market. And I go, in the white grounded double wide? Thinking the tweaker house that got raided. And she's like, yeah, we got into so much trouble there. They thought we were doing this and that, and this guy wasn't on the lease. I'm like, oh my god. So I go, oh, you know what? I go, I think I ran into you when you guys were trying to move. Does he drive a, like a Camaro or an Irish? And she goes, yeah, he's in prison now. And I go, what? And she goes, yeah, he's in and she said something where she goes, yeah, my boyfriend's in prison now. And I go, and she said it twice, referred to him as boyfriend still. And I was like, oh, okay, unmatched. Jesus Christ. But either way, she's hot. So she's on the list of top 11 tweakers that I like more than George Floyd. I think we're getting close to it. My other property here, I had a situation where, and if I seem like a tweaker, it's because I got a coffee drink today. I put, and I'm not usually a coffee drinker. I met a girl at Dutch Brothers who said I look like the sheriff from Stranger Things. Thanks a lot, bitch. I don't think that's a compliment at all. I gotta get rid of this goddamn mustache. But had a couple of extra shots in there, figuring I do pre-workout all the time. I feel like it's different, ephedrine or whatever it is. And I want to preface this, tweakers, with I party, I smoke meth. I smoked pot every day for like my whole life, from like 15 to right now. I took 2 weeks off when I got a DUI, and it was not good for anybody. I self-medicate like a motherfucker. You throw a bag of coke in front of me, not a bag, but you throw a couple of bumps my way, I will do them. I still don't understand the whole smoking poison though. Meth is, you can tell me that you get the most amazing high from drinking a cup of bleach, and I'm not gonna do it. So I think meth is fucking dirty, it's dumb, and if you do it, it's on you, because you instantly kill part of your brain, it seems like it. So when I first took over this property that I live at, we had a gate malfunction and they couldn't fix it because of a stupid maintenance contract that I got into it with their provider. So I was having a group of meth heads drive on to the property. It was a snatch and grab. It was really well orchestrated. They would wait until my vehicle was gone, and then they would pop in, snap a lock, go back to the first one, grab shit quick, boom, they're gone. Then they'd come back, snap another couple of locks, go to that other previous one, look at it, boom, they're gone, come back. And they hit like 13 different units. Well, they hit like 5 or 6 or 7 different units, and then I caught them coming in, and I'm on the phone with my supervisor. I said, call the cops right now. They just drove on. I'm going to close the gate. And she goes, okay, let me pull it up on the computer, the camera. I said, no, call the goddamn cops. I'll get off. I'll pull it up on the camera, and then I'll call you back. I said, I'm going to call the sheriff. I'm going to close this gate and call the sheriff. You okay with that? She goes, yeah, go for it. I close the gate, and they come driving out, and little meth head guy gives me a wave, and he's got the window down, and I close the gate. So I go, I got you, motherfucker. I go, cops are on the way. And he guns it, and boom, it nails the gate, knocks the gate off. So pulling up the camera footage, I'm talking to one of the guys that was in the unit that they broke into, and it turns out it was an ex-girlfriend of hers. And he was recovering. So I figure he did seem like he was a recovery. He had his shit going on, but he said that she had fallen off the cloud. I think that's a pretty good analogy. was pissed. She stole all of his dad's stuff and everything, so he turned on her. He narked her out, gave me all this information. Cops wouldn't do anything. So I did my own investigation, and I came up with I had to make, this is actually funny. I call the sheriff dispatch out here, and I call up. I go, hey, I had a group of individuals breaking into my units, and they just smashed my gate to get out. And I said, but I have the make and model of the numbers, and I have their names and aliases. And she goes, okay, we'll keep an eye out for those vehicles then. And I go, what vehicles? I haven't given you any of that information yet. And she goes, so you want me to send a deputy out? I said, yeah. And it took, I think, 3 or 4 hours for the deputy to get out to me. And then I gave them all this information, and they didn't do anything. So, but that guy who narked out the other people, he's on the list. And that brings us to George Floyd. So, seems like an alright dude. He did porn. Seems like an affable fellow. But then, if I remember correctly, the story was that he was trying to pass a counterfeit bill, which for some strange reason, trying some energy chews, because I feel like this coffee buzz is going to wear off, and I need it to get to the gym. So, So I believe it was at a mom and pop store. And then, if I remember correctly from the footage, maybe the other people that were in the group, there were like 2 or 3 other people that were in the car or something, and they took off. But he was saying, I can't breathe, when he was in his car, before they even tried to get him out of his vehicle, the vehicle that he was in. I believe he said, I can't breathe. I believe it was one of the excuses of why he couldn't get out of the car. Because I thought one of the cops was like, well, we'll get you out of the car, you can get some fresh air. But maybe I could be wrong there. But this brought me back to my earlier point about how short I am now with my homeless people, with my tweakers. The minute they start, because it's always the same thing. When I catch them sleeping here or staying after hours, oh, I can't find my keys. Oh, I have seizures. Oh, I have, da-da-da. And now, like, I just busted this lady. I pulled up on the camera. I'm like, oh, some lady's walking around my property going into, units that don't have locks on them. So I drive up there. She's, walking around with a flashlight. So what the fuck are you doing? She goes, excuse me? I go, I'm the caretaker. I asked you a question, what the fuck are you doing? And she goes, you can't talk to me. I go, yeah, I can, because right now you're criminal trespassing. Well, I'm looking for my keys. I don't give a fuck. That's how short I am. Like, I have seizures, I gotta sit down. I go, no, I caught you sitting in your unit before, and I read you the riot act, and I get, oh, I have seizures. I don't give a fuck what you have. Crohn's disease, I don't give a fuck. You got 5 minutes to get the fuck out of here, or I'm calling the cops. But, when it's over and over and over and over again, it's really hard to stay compassionate. You're deadened, and you have zero tolerance for it. You have zero tolerance for the bullshit, the lies. There was one point where she goes, ah, and I go, shut the fuck up. And she goes, now I know for sure you can't talk to me like that. And I go, I'm sick of your fucking lies. All you've done is fucking lie to me. So, but obviously not excusing, what happened with the neck, bending down. That was aggressive, but, and not the point, side argument entirely, but I'm trying to keep it as unbiased as I possibly can. I obviously, people can obviously understand where my slant is, but my point being about being a cop, like right now, when you, at first it was like you're desensitized to it. Now you get people that are actively trying to fight you because I think there is a certain, I don't want to say demographic because you see poor people doing it all the time too, lipping off to cops. But with this demographic, they're actually smart about it because what can happen is you could lose your life and you're immortalized. For a kid that doesn't have a future, that's not a bad thing. You get murals. They always remember your name. It's better than dying from a drug overdose, being shot, going to jail. Peanut was a good boy. Well, it's not Peanut now, and once he's dead, it's, Gregory Anderson, and, to keep things fair, it ain't Tater, it's Billy Joe Wimble was a good boy. A bit precocious. No, he fucking killed a lot of animals around your small hometown. Getting off tangent. But that's, the cop thing is, who the fuck would want to be a cop nowadays? But either way, you get people, you get, when you don't have a future, antagonizing a cop and dying at his hands and being immortalized doesn't seem like that bad of a way to go, But, and I'm not saying they're asking for it and everything like that, but either way, George Floyd argument. So we're back to this. So he can't breathe before, I thought, and I'm not 100% sure of, but this part I am 100% sure of. Okay, so once he resists arrest and they're struggling and they're putting chokeholds on him and stuff and doing all of that, I don't know when he passes, but they get him to the morgue and they do an autopsy on him. And this was during the, coronavirus stuff. So, anything, gunshot? Oh, that's a Rona death. Jot that down. So they're, trying to pump up those stats. So every body they get, they test it. So a body comes into the morgue and they test George Floyd. And George Floyd was partying that day. You watch the video and you understand the dude's fucked up. You get that. And you have a right to be fucked up. But if you are a law-abiding citizen, great, you're innocent. The minute that you start sinning, and I'll use sinning as a broad scope to doing illegal shit, the minute you start doing that, you run the risk of, you up your chances. Resisting arrest, you up your chances. When you're all fucked up, you up your chances of dying. So, autopsy on Mr. George Floyd, our saint, that deserves equal credit time on Memorial Day. Okay, George Floyd was drunk. He was stoned. He was on meth. He was on 2 different kinds of fentanyl. So I assume probably smoking it and then ingesting it. I don't know if you can ingest it. I don't know. But here's the fun fact about George Floyd. He was sick with COVID. They swabbed him when he went into the morgue and they found him testing positive for COVID, which is a respiratory disease, debilitating. I wonder if he was so high that the symptoms didn't bother him, and he was very sick with COVID. I can't breathe. He said it right away. I can't breathe. It was a problem, I'm sure, all day long. And what is amazing is that this would have been the first thing you do as an investigative journalist is go after that autopsy report, and it would prove conclusively that he he died of asphyxiation, and I'm sure he did at some point, but you would think even the right-wing people would go after that information and scream it from the mountaintop. It does not at all exclude the cops from their negligence and what they did, but holy shit, I don't think this is the one that you build your hill on, you know. Now there is that small percentage of it being, 100% conspiracy theorists, and I believe that could be also, if you've got your Pentaveret out there and they're setting things up and they go, hey George, maybe take this, or here, try to use this bill, Pat, get that bill in here, hey, racist asshole cop, you got this problem with, you're gonna, so George is gonna be there, you do it, here's a couple of $100,000, you rough them up, we'll take care of you if there's anything, I don't know, but I'm just spitballing, but we do know that old George seems like I'd have fun hanging out with him if he wasn't a Meth-head. Those fuckers, you can't trust them. But yeah, that's your fun fact about George Floyd. He was sick with COVID when he died from not being able to breathe. All right. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I know I buried the lead, but if you made it this far, like, share, comment, tell me how I'm wrong, tell me I'm a racist fucker. Either way, tell me on my comments. Tell me I don't